Welcome to the 5K Yarns podcast with BILLO. This is a podcast where the finish line is just the beginning of the story. Every Saturday morning, all around the world, people like you and me gather to walk, jog or run, or just cheer from the sidelines. The guests I have conversations with attend these parkruns. It's formed an important part of their weekly routine. Some attend with their dogs, with prams, with their mates, and even with their families. Some just like to do it by themselves. Some chase PBs, some chase community, and some just chase the post-run coffee. After all, that's what it's all about, right? This podcast will share their stories with you. Each episode I sit down with everyday parkrun heroes to hear what this little 5K means to them. Because behind every barcode, there's a yarn worth telling. Lace up, sit down, tune in, and let's go for a run together. Now let's get on with the podcast. Welcome to another episode of 5K Yarns podcast with BILLO, where every barcode has a story. Today's guest is a true titan of the trail, parkrun legend known for his passion, consistency, and unmistakable presence in a Viking hat. It's none other than Paul Viking Whelan. Since first towing the line back in January 2016, Viking has notched up an impressive 245 parkruns across 108 different locations, making him a proud member of the unofficial Parkrun Tourist Elite. With a PB of 34.16 at St Peters in New South Wales and a Wilson Index of 34, Viking isn't just collecting finished tokens, he's collecting stories, communities and connections. But his contribution off the course that really sets him apart. With 132 volunteer credits across 76 locations, 17 unique roles and a massive 53% volunteer ratio, Viking lives the parkrun ethos of giving back. In 2023 alone, he notched up 51 runs and 40 volunteer stints, a feat that speaks volumes about his commitment. From a longest tourist streak of 30 to a finish line average of 139th position, Viking shows that it's not about speed. It's about showing up week in and week out. So lace up and lean in. You're about to hear from a park runner who truly walks and the talk. One volunteer vest and barcode at a time. Let's welcome Viking Whelan to the podcast. G'day, buddy. How are you?
Excellent. Yourself?
Oh, look, living the dream, mate. As long as we can just travel from one park run to the next every Saturday morning, that's what it's all about, right?
100%. That's what it's all about. Loving it.
So as we can see on the video screen, you're wearing a Viking helmet.
Yes.
Now, I've got a bit of an idea in terms of the connection and what that's about, but how about you tell the viewer what the connection with the Viking is all about?
The basic story is that I go for my beloved Canberra Raiders, which is a rugby league team in the ACT of Canberra, Australia, inside New South Wales. And they sort of look a bit like that with the horns and a little bit of a beard. And I just love my Raiders. I love the team. And I just thought one day, it would have been about maybe 2 and a bit years ago, that whenever I do tourist, that I would go out and wear the horns. And after that, one tourist, two tourists, people started to like, and I started to, connect with people. I don't know, more. People found it funny. People enjoyed it. And I thought, this is good. I like this, And so I just thought I'll wear it. It was originally only just for tourists. And then I got told off a couple of times because I did revisit and I went to my local park run and people go, why are you not wearing the horns? And I said, that was basically just for a special guest, like just something different. And then since those couple of times where someone they told me off, but not told like full on, they wanted to see me with the horns on because it was different. And I said, all right, that's it. I wear it every time now and every week. And there
That's
was a
awesome,
couple
mate.
of sorry, I was just going to
No,
say
no,
a
you go.
couple of occasions that I didn't wear it, and like when I post on Facebook, that people also told me off recently because I didn't have them on. They couldn't recognise me.
Well, I've got to say, I half expected on that day that we crossed paths at McDonald's at Yass, I half expected you to have it on there. So us human beings and us parkrun people, we're a funny breed. You set yourself, I guess, an image of what you do, and I think it's fantastic. And I think that's one of the things that I've connected with you, that you're different. And I think we're all different, and I think it's great that you're not afraid to wear that on your sleeve, and that's who you are. So that's
Yes.
awesome, mate.
Yep.
So how did you find back in 2016 when you started Parkrun? How did you discover Parkrun, and what made you go along for the first time, mate?
Basically, I had a good friend called Cherie, or KB as she preferred to be called, Koala Bear. But we used to do triathlons back in the early days. And I said to her, "Oh, there's this thing called Parkrun." She goes, "Yeah, I know about it." She goes, "Oh, but we're doing triathlon." So, long story short, I think it was early 2016, she goes, "Okay, go for a run in Parkrun." But basically, the first few years that I did Parkrun, that I was more had taken up with triathlons. So I used to do my long cycle on a Saturday, and I didn't sort of really connect to Parkrun until later. I think it was in 2022. I caught the bug, which I sort of really excelled at Parkrun, but I sort of caught it between friends, and I did a few events between 2016 and 2020, or sorry, 2021, and but I like really excelled and started turning up every week after 2020.
Yeah. So it was obviously that period of COVID that was difficult for a lot of people, and I think most of us that certainly got into it since then. So I know that the connection there with a mutual friend who's also been a guest on the podcast already, being Tyson. Um, he's obviously into his Raiders as well. Is that right?
That's
Given the
correct.
fact that he
Yes.
resides in the ACT.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, that's good. And the triathlon connection, is that through him as well? Because I guess he was with into the
No,
triathlons as
all the
well.
triathlete possibly before that, before we met. I didn't know he was
Yeah.
doing triathlon when we met. But I think my season for triathlon finished about probably 2018, where I got a couple of injuries and didn't continue. Then I sort of worked. I started to work on the Saturday, to work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So parkrun sort of was there. I've done a few events, but not really taken parkrun too serious. Or yeah, I just
Yeah.
didn't really do it every week. And then, like I said,
Yeah.
2020 came around, and that's when I sort of fell back in love of the commitment to parkrun, and I went crazy for it and loving it.
Mm. No, and that's good because I have noticed too that a big part of your passion with it is definitely doing tourism, and quite often you'll have I guess what would you call it, a band of people or a group of people that you attend with to different locations. Because I guess your last one that you did was last weekend, is that right? Up at
Yes,
Jubilee at Tenterfield in northern New South Wales.
yes, about 8.5 hours drive.
Yeah,
So there was four of us in total. Jumped in the car on Friday morning around, it was about 6 o'clock. Travelled up to
yeah,
Tenterfield. We got there, stayed the night, done the park run on the Saturday, and came back towards Sydney. We took our time to come back towards Sydney. Took 2 days to come back. But basically, yeah, went up to Tenterfield for the Parkrun at Jubilee, and that's one of many adventures that I've had. So I've done also Burke like that also. That was awesome. So I've got many adventures more in me. So
No, that's good. Yeah,
yep.
no, that's good. So you're slowly spreading your wings wider because have you completed all the ones around Sydney now?
I've done all the ones in Sydney, yes. So what are they called? Nandi is in Gosford, which is Pioneer Dairy, which is about an hour and a half drive. And then after that is the new one, or it's not it's newish, is Grahamstown Aquatic Centre in Newcastle.
Okay.
So
Yep. Well, I did learn there's a new one being launched near Shell Harbour in August. I'm not going to give any details, but I had that information given to me
I heard about that.
by someone this morning. Yeah, so you're probably aware of it anyway.
There's another new one in Sydney coming too, but I heard about it, but I don't know full details. So we should just see. Apparently, it's in July.
Yeah.
So not too far away. So we'll just go from there.
What a stupid time of the year to launch parkruns in winter. Why would anyone want to launch parkruns in winter?
What I also heard,
it's one of those things that really does my head in. They should almost have a block out that you can't actually launch and start a parkrun in winter.
It's too cold.
Anyway, doesn't matter. We all do these different things. Now, tell me. Obviously, you volunteer a bit, and one of your roles, which I've noticed that you do a fair bit of, is tail walking. Would that be your favourite role? Because obviously there is a large number, as the introduction showed, that you've covered. I think what was it, 17 unique roles. So,
yes.
Would tail running be your favourite role?
Yeah, if I had to choose, maybe a couple would be tail walker. Would be one of my favourites. Also, I don't mind barcode scanning. I think where tail walker, you can still do the walk, still enjoy people's company, give cheerful people out on course while they're doing the walk or the run. And on the other hand, I've done I think 3, maybe 4 barcode scanning. I don't mind doing that also because you can congratulate people when they come in, tell them you've done a good job, have a good day. So, but I'll take any role. Maybe one role that I wouldn't be too keen on going back would be timekeeper, because I think my mind gets a little bit scrambled sometimes when a lot of people came in. I think I'll take any role. It doesn't matter if someone asks me to jump in to assist, I could do it. So
and that's exactly it.
I'm hoping to possible complete 20. So I've done 17 different volunteers. I'm hoping to get another 3 more by the end of the year. Or at least I've got 2 on the cards.
And what are those roles?
One of them is pacer, and the other one is number checker.
Okay.
So and then I have to find.
So not all events.
No, it's
so not all events would have those roles. So you're targeting specific locations that actually have those roles, like the bigger ones.
100%. Yes. So roads would be. I saw roads had number checker, and I think I'm going back down to Picton for pacer.
Okay.
So
I haven't done Picton yet. So obviously, when I do Picton, I'll let you know. Any ones that I do in Sydney, I'll let you know. And as it is, I think we plan to catch up in August to do St Peter's anyway, and then I think you'll come down here to finally tick off your My Home Park Run. I think that's in October from memory.
Yes, that's correct. the
So
17th
that'll
or
be good. Be
something.
good to see you in that, and you're bringing your Viking helmet to Yak and Dead. I think
Yes.
everyone will be thinking, "Oh, geez, here we go. He's another madman like Billo."
They'll probably see me before they hear me. Or is it they hear me before they see me? Yes, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So with Parkrun, obviously you've been exposed to, as we've identified a couple of roles, and you've been to quite a few different locations. Is there anything that you'd like to add, change, or remove from Parkrun? So if you had the ability to go, hey, Parkrun UK, this is something that I'd like to present, and what do you think?
Yeah, I think Parkrun's amazing as it is. I was thinking about it the other day, and probably the only thing I would change would be, I mean, I'm approaching 250 as it is, so I've got another
Mm.
5 weeks. But I think the milestone, I think up until maybe 200 or 250, maybe every 200 or every 250, they should do like a milestone. Because once you get to 250, then it's
Yeah,
500 to 1,000. It becomes like 5 years and then 10 years. That's a long time between milestones. And, like,
yeah, absolutely. Too long.
yeah. So I think I mean, I wouldn't mind either way. If you got to 100, then you went to 200, and 400, 600, or you went from 250 to 500, 750, and 1,000. I wouldn't mind either way.
Yeah,
But I just think the milestones, once you hit 250, so 100 to 250 is all right. And then I think, but I don't know how they would, just every 200 or every 250. That's one thing I would change.
yeah,
The other thing I would like to see, I'm not sure, not so much, yeah, probably a change would be to have some junior park runs in New South Wales. I know
yeah.
I heard it's a lot of work to bring up a park run, to establish a park run, but I just think there's no junior park runs in New South Wales. There's a few
Mm.
in Melbourne, or there's a couple in Melbourne, one in Adelaide, I think, or something.
Yeah,
Majority in
there's five all
Queensland.
up.
Yeah, but
Yeah, there's
that
five
would
all
be
up in
nice.
Australia. Which,
I think that would be nice to get a
yeah,
few junior ones in, at least in Sydney.
totally agree. Yeah, look, I totally agree. Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised there isn't anything in New South Wales. I mean, you look at your main populous areas. I mean, I'm sure there's a suitable location somewhere in Sydney to have one. Newcastle would possibly be another location.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's something that for some reason, and it'd be nice for to hear from someone higher up the food chain within the parkrun organisation and have them, express their reasonings why juniors in particular haven't been pushed solidly in Australia. And I think the key difference there that I've learned is in Australia versus the UK. Like if you go to the UK tomorrow, Paul, you could rock up to any junior park
Yes.
run and be a volunteer. There's no checks as done as such. As we're Australia, and rightly so, we're a bit of a nanny state or nanny country in that space. Where look, maybe instead of every single state having their own jurisdiction when it comes to doing volunteer roles or working with children,
Yeah.
there should be like a national, I think, type kind of
Guidelines or
thing
something.
rather
Yeah.
than individual state.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the moment it's every single state,
Has
and I
different
believe,
rules.
and I'd love anyone who's listening to this, perhaps write in the comments part of it of the actual video. That I believe that in a number of the states you have to pay for your volunteer working with children's accreditation, which that's going to be the first thing to turn people off straight away.
Yeah, 100%.
But as far as the milestones are concerned, look, that's an interesting one that people have got varying views on that, and I'm with you. And I think the consensus is generally going to be the same. When you hit that 250 to 500 to 1,000 as it currently sits,
Yeah.
as you've already highlighted, 5 years consistently from going week in, week out and not missing a park run, for you to
Because
then to go up to, your next
100%.
milestone recognition is a big ask. And then 10 years, as you pointed out, for 500 to 1,000. So, look, maybe the whole situation needs to be worked. I can't see them scrapping the whole lot and then introducing a different structure. I think my personal view is the gap of 150 is a good one. I think 100 is probably too soon.
No, I think
but even
100.
still, doing
Yeah,
100 park runs is doing 100 park runs is still quite a challenge,
yeah,
But I think the one at the moment which they could easily implement straight away would definitely be the 750. And I know that there's been another podcast in the UK called With Me Now. One of the co-hosts there, Nicola Forward, has actually expressed her views on that. And look, and again, it's going to open up another debate around people think, well, why do you do parkrun? Do you do it for the milestones, or you do it just because you love doing parkrun? And everybody's got their own reasonings and views and likes for doing it.
of
So,
course.
to me, it's nice to have the acknowledgement of a 250, of a 50, 150, 200, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
Because then that's showing that, hey, you're proud of the fact that you've worked hard to get to that point. It's not about, hey, look at me, look, and big noting yourself. To me, it's about, people are proud of the fact that they've consistently put in, and that's, them showing, hey, look what I've achieved.
100%.
So,
I'm like,
yeah.
it's like you said, it's a free thing, but it's an achievement on itself to get to another milestone, but it's just a long way from one to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about proudest times or memories, or could be a milestone if you're already identified. Is there anything that really stands out in your mind that you stood back and you think, I'm really proud of the fact that I've done that, or I've been there, or whatever?
Well, when you first start parkrun, you sort of like I started off very slow the first few years, and like I don't know, like parkrun wasn't really a thing for me when I first started. Even the first, 10, 20, 30, 40 events, and when I started, I think it was 2022, I started doing some tourism, and I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to get to 50 and then possibly, maybe even get to 100? And when I'd done my 100th park run, and I'd done it in New Zealand, I'd done number 98, number 99 in New Zealand too, but the 100th park run stands out for me, especially because it was in Queenstown, which is such a beautiful place in itself. But yet the park run is like, it's so beautiful. And to do my 100th different one there, like it was just magic. And then to get,
Well, we didn't.
sorry,
No, go ahead, keep going.
I was going to say, and to have my beautiful wife walk her first with me. She's not into the park run scene, and she's only volleyed a couple of times because she was just sort of helping me out because I had. So she's sort of done it, but she helped me out because she had to drive me. She had a couple of volunteers, but for her to do her first, and for me to do my 100th different tourist at a beautiful location, sort of stands out as point number one, and that's probably my most favourite park run in the 110 108 park runs that I've done. So
Yeah,
it's probably
yeah.
my number
And
one park run.
that's an awesome memory, mate. I mean, for you to tick off three key things there: the fact that you've done it with your wonderful wife,
Yes.
and it's her first one. The fact you did it in a tourism in a totally different country, and New Zealand is yet a country that I've been. I've been there, but I haven't been there in a parkrun capacity. So I'm hoping to do that at some stage. And the 100th as well, 100th different location.
Yeah.
There. Absolutely, you should be incredibly proud of those milestones or those memories more so than anything. So talking about Queenstown, let's talk about dream locations. Was that a dream location that you had on your list for a while, or have you got others on your list that you'd like to get to?
Dream locations. We're talking about possibly going to Singapore next year because of the they got public holiday on the Sunday.
The
So
extra day, yeah,
the extra
same.
day. So that would be great to do Parkrun normal Saturday and then public holiday Sunday, and possibly go up
Yeah,
to Malaysia. Because I've only been to New Zealand overseas. That's it. So
yeah,
so life was crazy for me in the past. I've done a lot of crazy and silly things, but yeah, I've got enormous list to go everywhere around the whole world, and especially where's a park run. So anywhere in the world, but Bushy is number amongst the top. Yes,
yeah.
so obviously the birthplace of Parkrun. If I could get over there tomorrow, next Saturday I will do it.
Yeah, it'd be
So
great to be in a position where we didn't have to work and we could just travel from parkrun to parkrun each week around the world.
oh
So kudos to those people that can do it.
yes,
You certainly make me very envious in that space, that's for sure. But hey, at the end of the day, it's good to actually have goals and dreams and things like that. And I guess if the parkrun, uh, you know, provides that, I think it's good for our well-being that you've got something to look
100%.
forward to, particularly in a positive sense too. Now, you've talked a little bit about obviously junior park runs and the lack of them in New South Wales. Is there any particular location that you have identified in your travels where you might have driven through a town while you've been en route to a given location to do park run, where you thought, hey, this place could really do with one? I know there's not one here, but perfect park over there or whatever. Is there any location like that you've identified?
I was trying to think of anything, but I couldn't think of any. Like I've been
No, that's
to,
all right. No, that's all right, and
uh,
that's fine because not everybody has the mindset, and when they look at like a the location signs on the side of the
yeah,
highway. I don't know about you, but my first thought is, oh yeah, there's a parker on there, and there's a parker on there, but there's not one there
100%. Yeah,
type thing.
I look at signs like that when I go for a drive or when we go for the long drives, and I go, yep, tick 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 tick, or I said, oh no, I got to really look into this area, to do something. So, but
Yeah.
dream location, I'm not sure. I think one down the road from my house, 2 minutes from my house would be nice.
It'd
But
get too boring though. It'd get too boring though, Paul.
I think when in winter, it would be great just to roll out of bed, 7:45 or something. It's like, yeah, I'll make that. So, but
Aren't Vikings traditionally known to be notorious and strong and working through the tough times and
100%.
waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to travel 400 k's? I mean, come on, mate. You're not
I've
really
done many of
reading
those.
the.
I've done many of the trips where I've woken up in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, in the car by 3:30, or get a couple of friends. I say, we'll meet at your house at 3:30, and we'll leave by 4. We'll go to Newcastle or Canberra. I think all the ones in Canberra, bar one, actually went on the morning. So you're leaving 3:30 or 4
Yeah,
o'clock, 3 hours drive, 3.5 hour drive, and you say, yep, tick that one off. Newcastle 2.5 hours. You know,
yeah,
it's just it's crazy,
yeah.
but
I can relate to that. I
it's
think
something
out of
we
all the
love.
ACT, because yeah, I think I can relate to that because all the ACT ones that I've done them all as well. I think there's probably only two, maybe three, where I've gone the night before, and I think they were the ones that were sort of down the southern part of the ACT, because obviously where I reside, as opposed to where you reside, I've got to go up like a hook and then come back down
Yeah,
to get into those locations, or I can go the other way, but it's mountainous and it doesn't really work too well this time of the year with snow and
yeah.
ice on the road. But you know, and that's right. I guess talking about that though, I'm sure you've had conversations with people that don't do park run, or because you're so happy and you're cheerful, and if you're anything like me, when park runs mentioned, your ears prick up and your big smile on your face, and you want to get engaged with the person. you talk to people and you say, oh, yeah, they might say, oh, what are you doing on the weekend? Or what did you get up to on the weekend? And you have a
Yes.
conversation, oh, yeah, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I jumped in the car at 3:30, drove, 300, 400 Ks, did parkrun, had breakfast, drove back home. Do they look at you and roll their eyes and go, you're
Well,
freaking
they stop
nuts?
me halfway. Sometimes they go, "You what? Where did you go?" And they go, "I went to Canberra for Parkrun." And they say to me a few other words, but are you crazy? I said, "Yep, that's me." And it's just like, I guess parkrun's like just a part of life. It's just, something you
Yeah.
connect, you love doing, you just do it because you wouldn't have nothing else on a Saturday morning. And I said, sometimes I feel like, yeah, I could drive on the Friday night after work, but I said, why? I've got to spend money for accommodation when I don't have to. Just try to get to bed a little bit early
Exactly.
and, go from there. Yeah,
Well,
no,
that'd be a
people,
challenge, particularly when your Raiders are playing a game on a Friday night, surely.
oh, when you have, especially after a win, and just try to back it up on the Saturday, but, sometimes it just be crazy, but yeah, no, it's
And
always all good.
yeah, and it's one of those things. If you committed yourself into a volunteer role at that given location, it makes it even tougher, doesn't
Yes, yes. No,
it? So, is there anything about parkrun that annoys you? And be honest, it could be a little thing. I'll give you an
well,
example. Like for me, it would be when someone else is talking in a crowd in the pre-run brief.
yeah, I've spoken to people before, and we all know that park runs on volunteers, and well, I knew of a few people in the past, and they go, "Oh no, I'm going to try to get to this milestone, or I'm going to try to get to that milestone," and they don't volley. And even people say, "Oh no, there's other people to volley." So like people who should just, I think, take every 10th week or something and just volley, because you can do a number of rolls and still run. I think a lot of people don't understand, and when people like different park runs have to post and say, "Oh, we need volunteers,"
Yeah.
sort of annoys me because I do a lot of tail walking and park walking, but like people that have to do it every week, so it sort of annoys me that way, where I think people just take advantage of, it's there. I can just go, turn up and run. I think, yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right. I personally think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I think it goes into the psychology of an individual, and I think naturally people, from a psychological perspective, you can sort of break them up into, I guess, different categories. And I think parkrun as a whole definitely highlights that. I think you got people that naturally like giving, so therefore they're not going to be concerned about putting their hand up and they're volunteering. You're going to get people that like to do both. They like to participate, but they also like to volunteer.
yes,
And then you get the other extreme where they won't volunteer. And for me, it would be great to understand the psychology behind that and to the reason why they don't volunteer. And it could be something as simple as they've volunteered in a capacity in something before. They might have been in a situation where they haven't been welcomed, or they might have made a mistake and they've been, dragged over the coals for it or something like that.
yeah,
And I think that's where parkrun locations and parkrun events, and particularly um, people that are a part of the core team, have to be mindful of. And I've been to parkruns myself where, and I can think of two in particular. I'm not going to name them, where I've relocated into the area from another location. I've enjoyed doing a particular volunteer role. Let's call it run director, for example. I've got experience in that space and so forth. I know what I'm doing. And the response was, no, we don't need any more run directors. Now,
Yeah.
to me, that's just a lot of communication and feedback to say you're not really that important as a part of this event team,
Yeah.
so no, we don't need you type thing. And I've seen it time and time again, and I guess the message I'd love to give to absolutely any parkrun event and parkrun team, if you've got a person that puts their hand up and is willing to volunteer, might be worthwhile asking them the question, or even looking into them a little bit more. I mean, things like the 5K app, for example, and other online tools does give the people capacity or core teams to investigate and say, oh, okay, Paul, I've seen you've actually done, tail walking 50 times. Is that something you're happy to do? And you might say, yeah, not a problem type thing.
Yep.
So I think it's more about the communication side of things rather than saying no. Or another scenario that I've experienced is where people will say, oh, no, the roster's full, we don't have any more room. Damn well make a position.
Yep.
Like even if it's token sorter or, an extra marshal
Yep.
or, and it's funny because people obviously are going to warm to the areas that they're strong in and they're comfortable in. I find it interesting that a lot of locations struggle to get photographers
Yep.
for somewhat bizarre reasons, so therefore they don't like to, put it out there and people, I love, capturing people. I mean, and again, comes back to understanding the individual skills and where they're comfortable doing that. And, I mean, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
That definitely the volunteering aspect is important for sure.
There was one location I went to recently this year, and I did put my name down, whatever it was, 6 weeks beforehand for a tail walker. And so we rocked up. We stayed there for the weekend, I think it was, me and Agnes. And I rocked up, and they said to me, I won't go into too much detail, but they said, oh, so you've done this role before? I go, yes, many times. Then they go, well, this is how we do it here. We've got to do it under an hour. People usually buy coffees on the way through. People's not allowed to buy coffees. People can't dawdle. If people are taking their time, you got to tell me on the first lap. I can pull them off the course. And I've never been attacked, or I've never been. I don't know. I was just gobsmacked.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. I felt okay. I said, no, it's all good, no dramas. But I would never dob anyone in. I know, and I love everyone. I couldn't care how long you take out on course. I'll look after you. I'll get everyone home safe. I know the tail roll is to include everyone. Parkrun is inclusive to everyone. And look, I'm out there to have fun, enjoy myself, and cheer people on from the back end. And yet, this person has had a negative, but it's never going to bring me down. But I just thought it was just bizarre.
But the thing is, though, Paul, I'm sure that sticks in your mind that you won't go back to that parkrun location.
No,
And I'm sure you've had.
I want to go back, and I'm hoping that this
Yeah.
person's on, and I'll be ready. I want to see if they say the same person again. I probably won't get there this year because I've got a full roster and everything. But now I just look at it and I laugh at it, and I just said, but if you take another person, they could say, oh my God, I'm never going to go back to parkrun again. It could be a downer, like he could
Yeah,
have
and
put
that's right.
fear into the person, and it's really negative.
But that's an example. That's an example of what I was talking about. It could be the only time a person put their hand up and said, "Hey, I want to volunteer."
Yes.
And to receive such a reaction like that, you're going to think, "Well, why bother?"
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and I get you. I mean, you're the sort of person that you would just take it on the chin. You go, "Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to change the way I do things because I've had far more positive reactions at other
Of course.
locations." And to me, that's the community. That's the community that's generated. And it'll be interesting to see whether that particular location is continually, particularly this time of year, week after week, calling out for volunteers to fill roles.
Yeah. I've done 108 different locations, And even I'm just not even thinking now, but trying to think of how many negatives I've had. That's probably maybe, I don't know, my only one. It's hard to say, you don't like to have negativity. And yeah, no, like I said, I'm going to go back to that location, and I'm happy to go back. But I have heard so many brilliant things about that location, and it's just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And I
Do you
thought
know?
I've had
Yeah, do you
total
know
story.
that's the
Yeah,
one thing that does annoy me. That is the one thing that does annoy me. That I think Parkrun further up the food chain, whether it be regional ambassadors, whether it be you know manager for a state or whatever your role you want to call them,
yep,
they really need, not that they're ever going to name and shame, and I don't think that's what it's about, but actually make it these type of event teams aware that, hey, you're the only one out of all the ones in the state we're hearing this type of feedback from. So you said to me before, or you said here before, you're not going to dob anyone in. I don't think there's any harm in you sending an email
I was
to
going
the
to.
likes of head
Yeah,
office in Parkrun to say, hey, this was my experience. This is my view to the understanding why, getting volunteers to put their hand up could possibly be a struggle.
yeah.
Unless you do something about it from a positive perspective, nothing will change. And it's sad because you look at the numbers, there's 11 million plus registrations, less than a million people have volunteered once or more.
Yeah.
And that's
I
that's
mean,
just unbelievable.
I was going to write an email and everything, but because I do crazy hours at work and everything, and
Yeah.
before Monday comes, next minute it's Friday, then Saturday, and rolls into one another, and I've got a crazy life and everything, and I thought I was started to write an email, and next minute is a couple of weeks gone, and I thought, is it too late to write one going backwards? Like, you know what?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's really any statute of limitations on, I guess, the core problem that you identify.
Yeah,
Because to me, that sounds like it's a problem that will go on and on.
but I don't know if it's from one
Whether it
individual
be
or
at
the
this
whole team.
location or other locations.
Yeah, I don't know if
I
it's
mean,
right,
to
like
me, it would be
from.
good.
Hmm,
So,
sorry.
sorry, I was just going to say just finally before you start talking again. For me, it would be to understand the reason why it must be done in an hour, to the reason why people can't grab a coffee on their way through, particularly if there's a coffee van there. As long as it doesn't upset the. And I think what it's more about is that other people that are volunteering, whether it be run director, timekeeper, whatever, who's obviously at that start finish location, have got other things they have to get to on a Saturday morning.
Hmm.
Well, if that's the case, don't volunteer,
Yeah, 100%.
because to me, if it takes an hour and a half, it takes an hour and a half.
Yeah,
If it takes longer than that, then so be it. Because again, I think the message we're trying to create here with this whole thing about being inclusive and being supportive, and the other aspect, which is a lot deeper, is community. The person that struggles to walk the 5Ks quicker than an hour, why should they be treated any different than the person that is consistently finishing in first token position that can do a park run in 16 minutes?
yep,
I mean, there should be no difference.
yeah,
And I think deep down, Parkrun have recognised that, and they want to endorse and support that. But I think they're doing it, probably don't like to upset people, or don't want to, not, as I said, it's not about name and shame, but because we all have conversations outside and offline about these type of locations. And I'll be interested to actually, when we do go offline, just to find out where this location is, because I wouldn't mind actually going there. I probably might have already done it just to experience. So,
I'm sure you
yeah, I think
have.
I had a fairly similar experience with that one or whatever, because I can identify two that I can think of in the 160 plus locations I've done, which is a small number really, where you'd go, I'm never going back to that park run because the team was so rude, or whoever was leading on that day was so rude. And
Yeah,
the sad thing, that then becomes a bad mark or a blemish on that location. And parkrun should never be like that, about that, anywhere in the world.
yeah. I was just going to add, I've done park. Sorry, tail walk 50, 70 times. I don't even know, and I've park walk. I've done tail walk like 1 hour and 20 minutes, 1 hour 25. So for me being out there for an hour and a half even, it doesn't worry me, you know.
Mm.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's just,
no, that's it. So deeper on a deeper level, and I
yes.
think you pretty much already touched on this on a major way. What has Parkrun done with you in your overall life? I mean, you're a happy guy. I mean, I can't see you ever rocking up to a parkrun and being pissed off and being the absolute opposite of what you present.
Parkrun now is like, it's a life. It may, like, you know, like I work hard through the weekdays, and it's just, I can't wait for Saturday. It's part of life. It's, it's about friends, meeting new people, enjoying the friends that I've formed, and meeting up with them for coffee or even just to say hello. You know, it's just, and can't wait to meet new people. Like there are people that I've met online and made comments with them, and they've told me,
Mm.
I can't wait to see you. You know, like, and just even people I see other, like, they comment on mine, and just whatever they, yeah, just, it's just life. Makes me happy, you know. It's a
Mm.
thing I really look forward to each week. Like if I don't do parkrun, it's sort of like, did I have a weekend? And I understand
Mm.
sometimes, you know, life gets in the way or something happens and I can't do it. But it's just like, yeah, it's life. It's like, I don't know what to say. It's a happy drug.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. I agree.
yeah, it's part of life now. It's you know, I'll be doing this year after year after year. Even though got dodgy knees and a dodgy foot, but I really enjoy it, you know. And I just
Too many Viking battles, mate. That's what it is. We're in the war room.
I still feel 21, but my legs feel 105. So I'll still
Oh, I
keep
know that feeling.
I'll
I
still
know that
keep
feeling.
rolling around, you know. So happy to lefty, front, or right, and bring everyone with
Yeah.
me, you know. If I can drag a few more people in, I was like last weekend. Was it last weekend? I went to Tinfield. I saw a guy, and he goes, because he started about 200 metres outside the start line, and he goes, "Oh, this is Parkrun." And I said, "Yes, yes." He goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing it for the first time." The guy would have been about, I don't know, 70 roughly, and he had his three-legged friend with him, his dog. So we started doing it, this and that, and we had a chat, and I go, why did you come here today? He goes, "Well, it's a funny story. I've come today because my physio said I have to do some more exercise. And I came last week and nobody was here." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It was Sunday." And we had a good laugh. And he goes, Actually, I've got the right day this week." So, you know, he goes, I'm hoping to, you know, finish the course." He goes, "But I've got no idea." And I said, "Look, I'm here till lunchtime." I said, I'm happy to, you know, have a yarn with you, have a talk. Let's do the course." So we done one loop, and he goes, "Oh, I don't know if I can do any more." I said, "Look, you've done half a course. You've done 2.56 Ks. I said, let's do a little bit more." And I said to him, "So you got your barcode?" And he goes, "Barcode for what?" And I said, "Look, you sign up online only once, and I said, that's your ticket for life for parkrun. You can go anywhere around the world." And he goes, "Oh, I need to see if someone can help me do this barcode thing, you know." I said, "Let's do it now." So we're talking to each other. I signed him up online, and I said to him, "You got any intentions?" Oh, like right at the end, because I messaged him the barcode and signed him up and everything. And he was really, really happy, you know. And he goes, "You know what? I might come again next week." And he was so happy that, you know, like he done it and he finished. He goes, "If it wasn't for you," he goes, "I don't know if I can get there. You know, I don't know if I could finish. I don't know." I said, "Look, you just keep going. I said, left in front of right, you know, he signed up. He had a picture on his phone. He says, I'm going to put this in my wallet. And, it was just a good feeling,
That's wonderful, mate. I tell you, that is probably one of the most I mean, I've heard similar stories, but that's one of the most heartwarming stories I've heard. And this is what this podcast is about. People sharing their experiences, and for you to do that for that gentleman on that day, you would have made his day, I reckon.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I know it would have made my day if you hadn't been in there and you're willing
yeah.
to help and so forth. And I'm so thankful that we do have a community around us within the parkrun world, that there's many people like you that are there to help others succeed, to help others, start their journey. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing more pleasing. And even yesterday, I experienced it with one that I did down the southern end of Victoria, Hastings Foreshore, where it was so great to see such a large group of people of varying ages, from kids right through to, I mean, I don't know how old the oldest person would have been, that are attending parkrun for the very, very first time. And they're asking the basic questions that you and I both know and go, oh, geez, Joe. And the sad thing is, on the negative side of it, you get people that would go, oh, what do you mean you don't know what to do with your barcode,
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's treating everybody as though they've never done it before, but on the same token, embracing them and supporting them and encouraging them. So, mate,
100%.
you're an absolute. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this to you, right? Because you say this to every single person in the post, and I know you do it. And I'll tell you what, it warms my heart every time I read it when you've responded to a post, that you are a true legend for promoting parkrun and promoting, but not only parkrun. I've seen you do it on just general posts as well about people. And I guess if anyone wants to see somebody that's really supportive and really encouraging, and I really think that I'm blessed to have met you and now have you in my life and to be able to call you a friend. But you've got to come and meet the Viking. Where's your home parkrun, mate? When you're there,
When I'm there at Panania Parkrun, which is
okay, and that's Sydney.
in Sydney, yes. So
Yeah, what part of Sydney?
so we're sort of in inner west,
Okay,
like, so we're probably about 45 minutes, roughly from the city. I would say
yeah,
drive, half hour,
okay,
45 minutes. Yeah.
yeah, okay. No, that's good. And obviously, are you touristing again next parkrun day, or are you staying local?
No, I'm going to it's Macquarie University in
Okay,
Sydney,
you've
nearby.
done that one before, haven't you?
Yes, I'm going for Wilson Index number 35.
You're chasing your Wilson numbers. That's good to hear.
So he's chasing the Wilson Index and a few other things, and so
Yeah, no, that's
just
awesome.
I'll tick off 35, and then a few weeks after that, I got number 40 or something, and then I'll be up around the 52, and so always chasing something, always doing something, and if I can give a cheer out to anyone, or if I can help someone out, like I said, that little story helped someone out. And I think people even, I sort of, delay sometimes and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to Parkrun next week. And it's like, yeah, okay, we know that. but
Have you had any people like that where they sort of do the role, I roll, and then they will come along and join you at some stage, or not really?
I've had a couple
Because
of
let's be
people,
honest, it's hard to get those sort of people along. They probably would never do it. I know I've never got anyone along.
yeah, I've got, I think, one person along, and I've had a couple of people sign up, but they're very keen to come along because it's winter sport for their kids and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
little bit difficult. But I said to them that I've given them a couple of locations around the Sydney area, that park runs that are flat, that are beautiful,
Hmm.
that they can do, and it's quite doable. Nothing too hard. And so I said, look, you let me know when you're ready. We can go together and we'll catch up for a coffee at the end, you know. And I said, it's up to you. You come the second time, third time, whatever you like. Just come and have a look at it, you know. So
And that's the key, isn't it? It's okay getting them there for the first time, but getting them to come back second, third, and then repeat after that, I
yeah,
think is probably more of a challenge.
yes, I think so. But you can only give them what you know, what you think, and positive information, and you know,
Well, let me just throw this scenario at you, right? You signed up to Parkrun, okay? The parkrun you're going to go to is your local, near
yes.
where you live, and it's bucking down with rain. You've never done parkrun before. Are you going to get out of bed, go down there, get absolutely drenched just for a parkrun? I don't think I would.
No, you wouldn't think so, unless you have someone to go with, and then say, oh, "Look, I don't want to," um,
I'll hold your umbrella.
or whatever it is, you know. So, like you know, like if I say to a friend, "I'm going to go with you here or there," you know, I don't want to disappoint them, you know. But
Yeah.
there been, you know, me and you and probably everyone else, we probably said that it's bucketing down somewhere. You're in a location, and you go, the last thing I want to do is go out there. And as much as we love our park run, but it's just there are times where you say, "No, man, the last
Well,
swing." I don't know. Just
it's funny.
sometimes,
Funny you say that. Funny you say that. You were talking about heading over to Singapore next year, and I've also got that on my calendar to do that with my partner. So who knows? We might end up doing the same thing together and spending the
yep,
weekend there together, which will be absolutely awesome if we do. But that one there would have to be the memory in my memory bank on the Friday morning, the extra day at Bishan. Was the absolute wettest in terms of rain. It absolutely bucketed down, but it was such a fun environment, and everyone absolutely loved it. So, who would have? But in saying that, it's also a lot warmer too. I mean,
yeah,
you don't mind going out if it's warm, and you know that okay, yeah, you're going to dry off relatively quickly, and unfortunately, the humidity then plays a part. But if it's say somewhere like here in Australia at the moment, particularly southern part of the states, it's bucketing down. You go out, you got to get drenched. You want to make sure you've got to change your clothes and a towel and something warm and dry to get back
100%.
into it. So,
You go to some
mate, it's
like
been absolutely awesome.
I
Been
was going to
absolutely
say
awesome catching up with you.
I was going to say you go to some locations and you take a second shoes or two socks and towel and you know a second outfit because you know that as soon as you finish you need a change somehow in the car for your long drive home.
Well,
You know.
I'll tell you a little tip that I do. If I know I'm going down and back in one day type thing, and I know there's going to be rain, I'll chuck it. I'll obviously have a change of clothes in a sports bag, and I'm a member of, and most gyms will have them. But I'm a member of Anytime Fitness Gym. Go to your Anytime Fitness Gym, have a shower, get dressed, head home. That's the solution.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not a member of
So,
a gym, but I'm just happy to even change half my clothes and you know change the shoes.
yeah,
You say, okay, I feel a lot better, and you just say, right, time to take it easy, get home safe, and go from there. You know.
totally agree, mate. Now, how hard has it been to do this conversation and this podcast? We've been talking for just under an hour.
Yes, I know. It's been very easy. We had a few technical issues earlier on,
Nah.
but we got there. I'm happy. I'm easy. I was feeling very nervous. I must admit. I'm. I think I'm an easygoing person. That
You are.
I enjoy a conversation, but I do get nervous from time to time and a bit shy. If that's I don't know.
And you
People,
know what, mate? There's nothing wrong with being nervous because that shows from a psychological perspective that you're thinking about what you're doing. So there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
I
And
just think
I'm
I'm going
glad
to
you.
say the wrong thing or am I going to stuff things up, you
Nah.
know. It's just basic, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, look, you're a natural at it, mate. The conversation has been very easy and flowed quite smoothly, despite the technological. Can't even spit it out.
Yes.
Hiccups right at the beginning. We got there in the end. So Thank you so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. I love seeing your posts. I love seeing the positive vibe and energy that you put out there in everything you do. And don't change. Don't you ever change. You just keep doing that because I know that there's many people out there that look forward to seeing that as well. So you're a credit. You really are, and it's a pleasure. Absolutely, being able to be in a position I can call you a friend. So thank you very much, mate.
Thanks very much. I really appreciate it. And
No,
like yourself, you keep up the good work. And I love your
man,
podcasts. You do a good job, and
thanks, mate. I mean, even I get a little bit doubtful at times with the podcast, and if people are watching this and are interested in sharing their conversation around their parkrun journey, please reach out to me. Be more than
yeah,
happy to have a conversation with you,
it,
with them, I should say, because to me, and you're probably the same. You've spoken to many people at different park runs where you've listened to their story and you think, wow, that's an inspiring, or that's,
100%.
and they're not someone that sort of puts themselves out there naturally and go, hey, look at me. This is what I do. This is parkrun. And I try not to be a little bit like that. And none of this, what I do, is definitely not about ego. It's about showing people that there's other sides of conversations of people's
Yeah.
journeys with parkrun. So don't you go changing. You in a fellow friend's words, being Mr. Tyson Flynn, keep it real, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, mate. See you next time.
Over and out. See you soon. Bye.
So there you go. That's a wrap on another edition with a guest. If you liked that episode and you're interested in looking at the back catalogue or being notified when more come out, please subscribe and like because that's your way of being able to get notifications. So until the next podcast, thanks for your time. The views, thoughts and opinions expressed on the 5K Yarns podcast with Billo belong solely to the host and my guests and do not reflect the views of any affiliated organisations mentioned, sponsors or partners. The content shared on this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Listeners' discretion is advised, especially as the topic may include some strong language and sensitive material.